this is a basic overview of what I want you to do at home with regards to retrieving. First of all, we're going to try to operate within the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid, right? We don't want to overdo this. We don't want to bore the dog. We don't want to put the dog in a situation where he learns bad habits. Sit. But we want to maintain his enthusiasm to retrieve. So we are going to, in the beginning, try to keep it simple. The objective is to keep him excited about the game without losing discipline. So let's talk about our functions. First of all, there's two different main retrieving functions that you're going to attempt to do. First one is what's called a fun retrieve. With a fun retrieve, you're going to release him first, then throw the dummy. On both of these retrieving formats, he must, once he goes and picks the dummy up, he must return it and give you a disciplined delivery, no matter what. Set. Good. That was a sit nick, just so the camera, so you understand what I've been doing. When he's sniffing the ground, he always gets a sit nick, not allowed to sniff the ground. Once the retrieve is thrown, if at any point he does something wrong, give him a light heel nick. When you go do your retrieving, you should be on the low level. Your dog also should be listening, so you should have done your obedience first. So think about it this way. Don't go into your retrieving until he's calm and he's listening to you well. Remember, this is a big positive reinforcement. Don't just give it away like any other positive reinforcement. If he doesn't come back quickly, or if anything kind of goes wrong out there when he's out on the retrieve, give him a heel nick. Okay? If he drops the dummy, you're simply going to grab his ear, tug up on it like that, and as soon as he gets the dummy, you're going to back up a few feet, sit. Good. I'm going to show you that again. I'm just tugging upward on his ear until he begins going down after it, sit. Okay, I'm also sit. Once he gets it in his mouth, I'll say sit, and he has a habit of wagging his head around. I'm going to give him a light sit nick until he stops that. Once he stops it, I'll put my hand on it, and he'll give it to me. If he doesn't give it to me, I will literally just say out and nick him. Okay? Also, heel. If he's tending to fiddle with it once he's reached here, like he's chewing on it, if he chews, you can always do that. Fetch. Sit. Sit. That was a sit nick that I did. You'll find that out. If you're keeping him happy and you're following through with all the basics, you probably won't get a lot of that. The time that he starts wagging his head around and doing all that crazy stuff is when he, for whatever reason, is starting to not have as much fun. So if you keep your balance and you don't overdo your retrieving, you probably will deal with that a lot less. So let's go ahead and do a fun retrieve. So we release the dog. Clue. Right when he gets to the dummy, heel. You either use the heel word or a whistle. Good. Sit. Sit. Good. I gave him a sit nick there because he wasn't focused. As soon as he calms down, take the dummy away. The fun retrieve is used to get the dog excited. Clue. Hup, 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 hup. You hear me saying that? Hup, hup, hup. We use that to get him excited as well. So you notice the first thing I did, though, is I released him with his name. Okay, heel. So after you do a few fun retrieves, sit. Good boy. Okay, notice my fingers on the button. It's set, the collar's set low. If he wags his head around, flips his head around, it'll be sit nick. When he calms down, I'll reach down and take the dummy. Very simple. Now let's work on a steady retrieve. So I don't have it on him right now. I wish I did, but I want you to put a small piece of paracord or something about 6 inches long, or excuse me, about 10 inches long that hangs off of his collar. So when you do your steady retrieves, you literally, I'm just going to grab the tab of his collar like this. You can hold it. Sit. So the communication is, before you throw the dummy, is to say the word sit. So that's how he knows that he's supposed to say. And you're not going to hold pressure on him. You're just going to hold it in your hand with no pressure, such that if he broke, you would just catch him. That's all you would do. Just stop him, Put him back on the sit command, and you would walk out and take the dummy up if he breaks on a steady retrieve. If he stays steady, where's your mark? Clue. We're going to say his name. Heel. You'll also notice I'm throwing this out into an area, sit, where there's not a whole lot of other things for him to be, sit, distracted with. So I wouldn't want to have sticks and garbage and God only knows what out there. In the beginning, I find a nice mowed yard where there's nothing better to do than this retrieve, and it presents it in that with that general picture that we want to present. That, hey, this is the most fun thing that we've got going. Once you're comfortable with the steady retrieve, you can actually just step aside, say sit, and watch him. Now you notice I have my thumb on the button, so if he breaks, I can say sit quickly and make a correction. You've got to be really fast with this, okay? If I say sit, if he breaks and I say sit and he's 20, 30 feet away, too late. Okay, so if you're going to do it with the e-collar, first of all, I recommend doing a bunch with just the rope first. But later, when you're comfortable and you're doing steady retrieve and when you feel like you really got this down as a team with him, you can take a step back. And you notice I'm looking at him when I throw it. I'm not looking where it's going to land. Good. Now, I also can say, where's your mark? If I notice that when I walk up to him or at any point that he's not looking at it. So if he starts looking away, I'll say, where's your mark? When he looks at it, clue. I'll send him. Let me re-emphasize that the fun retrieve, I think, is going to be the most important when you get him home until you achieve two things. The fact that he's excited about it and the fact that he's given you the finished delivery. Once you get enough of those with fun retrieve, then you can move on to the steady retrieves. Clue. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, there's a fun retrieve, and look at the momentum that it builds. Also, really, really pay attention to the fact that when he's about on it, not when he's on it, when he's about on it, I'm giving him the recall. And if at any point he doesn't pick it up, sit. If he doesn't bring it back at any point, heel nick. Okay, so if I took him out, for instance, and I got him obedient and I did a fun retrieve and there was some sort of distraction and I was late and I wasn't proactive and I just was silent, he might run past the dummy and go chase a squirrel. He might do something else. But by giving him the recall quickly, it reminds him, hey, no time for anything else. And you'll notice by being proactive, you're getting him thinking right, you'll get a success right away, and you'll just keep on rolling. So let's cover a couple more little. Let me just take another crack at showing you what to do if there's a failure, because that's the thing that's hard for people. The dog drops it, or they start manipulating you, and you don't know how to make a correction. First of all, anything happens away from you. Literally, if he starts fiddling with the dummy, running the wrong way, H-E-E-L, nick, that should stop about anything. Worst case scenario, you give him that correction and he leaves the dummy. He leaves the dummy out there because he got that heel correction. Okay, you're literally just going to grab him, bring him up close, pull up on his ear. You can see that he knows that's coming. Good. Step back to where you originally were. Sit. Sit, Nick. Waiting till he calms down. No, heel. Sit, fetch, heel. Now what I did there, sit, he laid down. That's what we call an avoidance behavior. And so if he lays down like that, just take a step away, say heel, and nick him. Sit. Good. Good. Don't take the dummy until he calms down. Good boy. Good. Clue. Hup, hup, hup. Now you'll notice that if you're quick and prompt on making those corrections, you probably won't have to make a lot of them. Sit. Good. Sit. Good boy. Clue. Hup. Hup. Woohoo! A lot of praise when he's on his way back. When he gets about 2/3 of the way, just put your hand down. If he flies by you, that's another one. Step forward and heel nick. Sit. Gotta pee. Out. Good boy. All right. Good. Sit. Do another steady retrieve. Sit. Now, once you get really comfortable, you can start trying to distract him when he's sitting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Clue. And he does know to wait. But I want you to just cycle yourself into it, get comfortable with the fun retrieves, do steady retrieves just by holding the leash. Sit. See how I calm down there? Sit. Good. No. Good. No. Good boy. And you'll notice that if you're consistent with not taking that dummy until he achieves that calmness, he'll do it faster and faster and faster and faster for you. Heel. Good boy. Also, when you get comfortable, you're going to do something called obedience to retrieve. So just to set it straight, so if you want to write this down, in the beginning, you'll do your obedience, you'll come down, you'll do probably 5 or 6 fun retrieves and get out of there. And then as the days go on and you get more confident, you're going to do a few more retrieves. Probably every 2 or 3 days, you can add 1 or 2 retrieves to it, and you'll also start adding the steadiness function. Okay? And then once you get to the point, and you'll be able to tell, Bob, sit. When you do your retrieves, you'll know whether you can do more by just his speed, his excitement, his efficiency, with lack of having battles. Those are your cues to be able to add more. But anyway, after probably a week of this, and you started to get in the groove, then you can add, before you do your retrieves, you'll do what we call obedience to retrieve. Heel. So you'll do a little obedience function. He'll do it properly, like a recall like that, and the reward will be the retrieve. Clue. Clue. Okay? The reward will be the fun retrieve. Now he's linking that retrieve, the fun of that retrieve, as a reward for doing obedience. Good boy. Out. Sit. Good. So I'll show you another one, a recall with a remote sit with a fun retrieve as a reward. Sit. Good. Clue. All right. Sit. Out. Good boy. Good boy. Sit. Sit. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is what's called a bird in mouth retrieve. With the bird in mouth retrieve, this would probably 2 weeks into it that I want you to start playing with this. Heel. Sit. Bird in mouth retrieve, we do any sort of retrieve to start it with the first dummy. So you can do a fun retrieve or a steady. I'll do a steady. Sit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clue. I'm going to keep the second dummy, if you focus on me for a second, just tucked like this. That way my left hand is free. Heel. Heel. Good. Now see what's happened. You can't see that on the camera, but another dog is over there. Okay, so that's what caused that. Sit. Anyway, when he comes back, you'll have him sit with the dummy in his mouth, and you'll throw another one. Watch this part. Sit as you take it out. Let him regain his focus. Where's your mark? Clue. Don't even try this unless you're having really great success with the others. Good dog. Heel, neck, neck, neck. Did you see that? I don't know if the camera got that or not, but he's telling me, sit. He got that second dummy and he started sniffing around. Now what he's telling me is, hey Dan, you're starting to bore me, right? So this would be the point where I'd say, okay, that's probably 12, 13, 14 retrieves, too many. I'm gonna finish with a fun one and get out of here. Clue, hup, 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 pa-chow. Little clapping on the way back will make him feel like he's being a productive team member. Sit. Good boy. It'll get him excited about coming back to you. Sit. Good. Remember, if he doesn't give it to you, you can say sit with a nick or the word out with a nick. Either one will work. All right. Well, that ought to be enough information to confuse you really well.